Banana's higher. Depends how ripe it is. Yeah. The riper it gets, the higher it goes. Yeah. So, rotten banana, don't eat. But bananas aren't super high compared to some of the other ones. All right. Next, we're going to talk about fiber. So fiber's big. Kind of going back to the high GI thing. Most things that are lower GI don't have a lot of, or higher GI. So the ones that are going to spike your blood sugar don't have a lot of fiber. So things with more fiber are probably better. So if you're eating, a whole grain pasta versus just a white pasta or just a regular pasta, that's going to have more fiber in it, which slows the absorption of your carbohydrate of what you just ate. So that's a good thing. It also slows glucose absorption, which, like I said, just blood sugar level. And it also makes you feel full. So eating more fiber is a good thing. You don't want to get too much, or you can have some backing up in there. We don't want that. But yeah, you can see there, fruit, vegetables, and whole grains. So quinoa would have a good amount of fiber, a whole brown grain rice, any wheat bread, whole wheat bread, things like that. Next we'll talk about artificial sugars and sweeteners. So there's a lot of this in things that say zero sugar. If it says that on the pack, usually that has a sugar replacement in it. And your body tends to see that the same way. So if you're eating something that has sucralose in it, which is I think Splenda or one of those, your brain really doesn't know the difference between real sugar and that sugar. So it sees it the same, it sends out the same hormone response, and it jacks your blood glucose level up. So not really a good thing if you're trying to avoid sugar. I would just avoid all sweeteners. I know it's really hard because we're almost addicted to sugar as a society. It's really it's hard to break, but I'd limit that as much as you could. There's also sources that say there's cancer linkings to artificial sweeteners, so probably something to stay away from if you can. So also the healthy kinds of sugar, so honey, that gets a lot of good pipe, and brown sugar versus white sugar. All those, like I said, your body's going to see it the same way no matter what. It sends out the same response. No matter what it is, if it's sweet or it tastes sweet, same thing's going to happen in your body. So, and if you have all that excess floating around your bloodstream, the only place it can go is into fat storage. So, you can use a certain amount of it. It goes into the muscle, goes into your liver, but once you hit that threshold, it just goes right into your fat storage. So, and the American Heart Association recommends, I think for women, it's 20 to 29. Now these might not be exact, but around 20 to 29 grams of excess sugar a day, of added sugar, I should say. So if it says sugar in the recipe list, if you look in the ingredients list on a package, if it says sugar anywhere in there, that means that's been added to it. So if you ate fruit, obviously there's no added sugar in fruit because it's natural. But as far as added sugar goes, you don't want to go too much above 30. Guys are a little higher, 35, something like that. But if you break that down, 35 grams of sugar, you can probably get that in 2 decent-sized cookies for the whole day. So if you think about that, that's not very much. But it's coming from the American Heart Association, so they're a pretty credible association. So sugar's a big thing. So yeah, we already talked about the sources. Oats are a carbohydrate too. You'll see that on the recipe list later. So next we'll talk about proteins. Proteins are needed by the body, especially for you guys who are working out. You need to go in and repair that muscle damage you've done. Talked about the whey protein. It's that quick absorbing, goes right in, goes right to work. Proteins also deal with your hormones, your immune system health, enzyme function, all that. So they're really important. If you're a vegetarian, there are ways to. Is anyone a vegetarian here? Okay, good. So I'll disregard that. But there are ways to combine non-meat proteins. So like incomplete proteins are ones that don't have all the amino acids or all your essential amino acids. You want all those essential. So to make a complete protein, like a meat or eggs or dairy, those are all complete. Fish, those are all complete proteins. But non-meat sources, so like bread is an incomplete protein. It's got some protein in it. And then peanut butter and peanuts are also an incomplete protein. So if you combine the two, that actually makes a complete protein. So if you're not eating meat, basically just saying this for the video, sorry guys, then you can combine them and make something. Rice and beans is another one. You can combine the two, they make a complete protein together. So just ways to still get all those essential amino acids in. But as far as proteins go, you guys all know the sources. We're talking about fish, your lean meats, and non-lean meats obviously. Beans, rice, bread, nut butters, nuts, seeds, they all have a little bit of protein in them. But meats and dairy products are going to be your complete proteins. So fat, that's what we'll talk about next. Very important. On this diet, we recommend 30% of your diet is fat. I didn't say the ranges for the carbs or protein. Carbs are 40%, proteins are 30, fats are 30. So it's 40, 30, 30. That's the zone diet. That's the diet that we're going off of. So that's the range you want to shoot for all three. So as far as fat goes, you guys want to try to get as many healthy fats as possible. So omega-3s are big. Omega-6s or the other omega, you want to try to avoid those for the most part. Don't completely avoid them. Getting a little in your diet's okay, but omega-3s are way better for you. Like I said, they decrease inflammation, all that. So if you can get as many of them as you can, that's going to be your best bet. So sources, yeah, they're listed right there. You got your salmon, your herring, canola oil, olive oil, seeds and nuts. They all have omega-3s in them. Chia seeds too. And I would limit, completely limit trans fat and hydrogenated fats. It's basically where they add hydrogen to it to make it stay on the shelf longer, gives it a longer shelf life. So basically anything that has a long shelf life you probably shouldn't be eating too much of anyway. So avoid trans fats. Saturated fats, I wouldn't limit that completely. Having bacon and eggs for breakfast is not going to hurt you. As long as you're not eating saturated fats for all your fat intake, you should be fine. So try to get a good mix. Like I said, mostly omega-3s, and then saturated fats are not that big of a problem. So next we're looking at the Reshape Your Plate. So you should see that little box with the CDs, the half a baseball. What is a portion? You guys see that? Okay. So once again, water is very important, especially since you guys are working out. You're losing a lot of water, especially this time of year. We're losing a lot through sweat. So stay hydrated. Becomes habit. I probably drink like 20 of those a day. That's probably, I probably don't need that much, but if it's in your hand, it's just habit for me. Just pick it up and drink it. I don't even think about it. So try to get that feed in to your brain. Once again, try to cut back on the sugar-loaded drinks, sodas, fruit juices.
What about coffee?
As long as you're not loading it with a ton of sugary creamer.
So if you,
Or added sugar,
I
yeah.
just drink it half and half,
Yeah,
and like a
that's fine.
packet of sugar.
Yeah.
So I drink it.
So that packet of sugar is probably, I don't know, it's 10, 15 grams of sugar,
Yeah.
which isn't
Try to,
a lot,
eliminate
but
that.
I'll try to maybe cut back on that.
Okay.
But as long as you're not dumping 3 of them in,
Yeah.
I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
But yeah, gotta watch out with the creamers.
Yeah, I hate.
Usually like Coffee Mate, I think it's usually 5 grams per tablespoon or something like that. But it adds up quick. You have a couple tablespoons dumped in there. And there's 10, 15 grams of sugar. Good way to start your day, right? Yeah, so also iced teas, sweetened iced teas. Anything that tastes sweet, it's got something in it. some kind of sweetener. Talked about well, lean meats. You know, you want to try to get those as much as possible. Chicken, turkey, pork. Not all pork's lean, like bacon and sausage, but like pork tenderloin or pork chops, those are pretty lean. But like I said, I wouldn't worry too much about taking the fat off of your meat, as long as you're not eating like a ribeye steak every meal with all that extra grizzle, or bacon every meal. Try to get those lean meats. Whole foods are big, so if you guys have heard the term, stay on the perimeter of the grocery store, that's your best bet. If you're going down the aisles, usually you're passing all that processed stuff. Now sure, there's some good stuff in the aisles too, but if you go to Wise and Bloom, go right to the left, avoid the beer. But you got fruits and veggies, the fresh deli, you go around the back, and the seafood and the meats, and then they're on the back on the right. Dairy, eggs, cheeses, down to the bread and peanut butter. You're not going to go wrong with that. Yeah, just because most things that are on the shelf either have a lot of trans fat in them or they have a lot of sugar. Or they're just very processed. Another thing at the bottom, try to limit the processed stuff. And like I said before, sugar, try to cut back as best you can. And you got to be careful, try to really read labels. If you guys don't read the label, I would try to start. Look for anything that looks like a sugar. Anything with OSE, O-S-E at the end, is a sugar. So, glucose, dextrose, sucralose, all those are some type of sugar alcohol. Maltose, lactose. Alright, so we'll flip over to the back, guys. The last page, the plate method. You should be looking at the picture with the split up plate. So ideally for this meal plan, what we're going to look at is, for what your plate is going to ideally look like, is going to be this half non-starchy vegetables. So like I talked about before, your greens, colorful vegetables, so peppers, onions, carrots, radishes, onions, cucumbers, anything that's not very dense, anything that's got a lot of water content. So if you bite into it and it's pretty crisp, that's what you're looking for. So about half your plate. Quarter of your plate should be protein, quarter starchy carbs or complex carbs. So starchy carbs could be some kind of potato, ideally sweet potato would be a little better. Rice, quinoa, whole grain bread, whole grain pasta, something like that. And then we'll talk about the meal plan. So you guys can actually find the meal plan in your folder. So you guys should have should be the biggest one, yeah, with the weeks. So if you guys all look at that, on the front it says week 1. The next page is week 2, and it goes to week 4. So on the front and back, it's got Monday through Friday on the front, Saturday, Sunday on the back. So if you look at these meals, that's basically what they're what she's shooting for as far as this go. Quarter of your plate, non-starchy vegetables. Now breakfast is going to be a little different, and then you're getting quarter protein, quarter starches. So if you read down through that, does that look like a little bit of food, or does it look like a lot of food? Probably a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as far as the ranges go, so you guys can read this on your last page again on that packet if you want, but I'll just say it. If you're trying to lose weight, ladies, you want to try to stay towards the bottom part of that range. So if you look on Monday on breakfast, you see 2/3 cup to 1 cup, or 2/3 to 1 cup of the oats. So you would, if you're trying to lose weight, you want to try to stay towards the lower end of that range, so 2/3. If you're trying to increase athletic performance, try to gain some muscle, I would try to stick to the middle. So the middle of that would be 3/4. And if you're trying to, well, I would say that would be it for girls. Guys, if you're trying to gain weight, try to stick towards the higher end of the range. If you're trying to lose weight, try to go towards the middle.